Good morning. It is now day 19 and Hurricane Ian was in full force last night. It's now been downgraded to a tropical storm. It's definitely still very windy and raining, but not as intense as last night. But I thought I'd show you outside to show you some of the debris and branches that have come down. But I'm actually impressed that there's very minimal damage, really. So they've obviously done a fantastic work of making sure everything is tied down and like trees are properly trimmed and stuff like that. So let's have a little look. So as you can see, it's still a bit windy. The trees are kind of blowing about a little bit. On the pathways, there are some bits of debris, but actually surprisingly not that much. In the swimming pool on the far right, you can see there are branches and bits of tree in the pool and in the lazy river, but honestly I'm really impressed. I thought there'd be a lot more damage, so this is quite amazing. And the good news is, guys, as you can see in the background, all of the rides are still fine. They're all doing well. On the left is the top of Hogwarts Castle. You then have the Velocicoaster, we have Rip Ride Rocket, Doctor Doom's Fearful. Everything is a-okay. So interestingly, I actually slept really well, which I was not expecting. Yeah, I don't know why, but I was just like, okay, it's fine. And I think the worst of the storm was probably about 2 a.m, but kind of slept through that. You could hear the same sort of noises all night, like you can hear the building creaking a bit and the wind gusts, but it was the kind of same all night. It didn't seem to get really intense at any moment and you woke up and you're like, what's happening? So it's been quite amazing, really. I've woken up and seen the news, and of course there's been massive destruction on the coasts. There's like actual houses floating down roads. It's unbelievable. So I think it's going to be quite a long process of being able to rebuild, and it must be very stressful. Hopefully the people have managed to evacuate, but to know what you're going back to must be horrific. So being in Central Florida is so lucky, because the worst of it had happened. It had downgraded to a tropical storm, so it was nowhere near as bad as anticipated here. But obviously on the coast it was much more intense than predicted. So yeah, I can't even imagine how horrific it must be not knowing what you're going back to and if there's going to be anything to go back to. So I have been hearing from some other people who are currently in Orlando, and some of the people in the off-site hotels currently don't have any power. I'm very lucky that at Universal they seem to have backup generators. We've still got power. Everything seems good. I've heard from some people in Disney resorts, and Disney seem to have been amazing. They've had characters out to meet. They've had activities all throughout the day. Restaurants have been open. They did shut in the evening, obviously, because of the bad weather, but you could buy snack packs and stuff to take to your room, and they've been giving regular updates via the TV of what you need to do, what the latest information is, what the advice is. So that's really good. I would say we're really lucky at Cabana Bay and at Universal because, like I say, you've still got power. Yesterday the restaurant was amazing, that they were working so hard. Honestly, they were working so quick because literally everyone was eating there, and I was so impressed. So big thank you to everyone. They did have some activities going on in the lobby for kids, but I would say there's not been much information. So on the first night, so I think that was on the Tuesday, there was an information kind of thing that came through like on a voicemail on the phone, just to say the parks are closed, the pools are closed, and the hotel's operating as usual. That's kind of vague. I was like, does that mean the restaurants are open? Does it not? Does it just mean that you can be in the hotel, it's not closing? Like, what does it mean? It was a bit vague. And they also didn't give you any advice regarding, can you go out, can you not go out, when should you stay in, what should you do during the hurricane sort of thing. So I would have liked to have had a bit more information, but luckily I've been following like news channels, local weather reporters, stuff like that, and hopefully with common sense people knew, look, the weather looks bad, don't go outside. So that has been all fine, but it's been very comfortable in the room. Like I say, this room is massive. It's actually the biggest room I've had since I've been out in Orlando. It's got everything you could need. The decor is really cute. So yeah, it's been an absolutely perfect stay, and also it's very quiet. You don't really hear anyone else, which has been amazing. So it's been really nice to kind of just hunker down in here. I've still got loads of snacks. I've definitely bought too many snacks. I was so like, oh my gosh, but what if we're there for ages and what we're going to do? And I think today I will be mostly in the room. I feel like the storm is still going on. It's a tropical storm now, so it's not as serious as a hurricane. But of course it's still very windy, very rainy, and where you have seen debris come off of the trees, you don't want to be walking around just in case you get hit by something, and that would never be any good. I think it'll be really interesting to see like the clean up, because like I said, I've been so impressed with how everything's been slick. Like they've had everything locked down, they know what they're doing. So I feel like the clean-up process is something they've probably been prepared for. They know exactly what to do, and I feel like it'll be quite quick and snappy. So it will be interesting to see if anything does open on Friday, but I would assume Friday would be the clean-up day, so I would imagine probably the weekend at the earliest, but we'll have a little see. I'm quite happy sitting in the room. The view's quite amazing. It is quite spectacular to kind of look out and just be like seeing what's happening. Last night was very dramatic because the wind was howling against the windows, and you had lightning, and the rain was driving, and like it was very dramatic. But it never got to the stage that we thought it might get to, which is good. We've been very lucky. So yeah, just going to carry on in the room, relaxing. You can't really complain, can you? Like, you're on holiday and you're getting amazing downtime that you'd have no other opportunity to have. Like I said, attraction tickets have said that the HHN refund for Halloween Horror Nights, they will contact Universal, and once that comes through they will give me a refund, which is perfect. I might contact them about, and I think this is probably just one of those things you'll just have to, you know, it's just something that's happened, it's unexpected, it's what it is. But I had the 14-day ticket to Universal, and I've obviously only used one day, so I don't know if you will get a partial refund or if they'll extend the dates, although I don't know when I'll be back. So it's like if you knew you were coming next year and you could still use those tickets, it would be perfect. But they may offer something like that. So I might also contact them just to see what that is about. And I think it would also be interesting so that if you are ever in this situation, you kind of know what happens, particularly if you buy from a third party. The one good thing is if you buy directly from Universal or Disney, they're normally really good at offering refunds, exchanges, stuff like that, and you can go directly to them even whilst you're here. Whereas obviously if you do it through a third party, you do have to contact them. But like I said, yesterday I emailed Attraction Tickets and I was like, I won't hear from them for like a week because everyone's going to be contacting them. And I think it was like 20 minutes they replied, and I was so impressed, especially because of the time difference. So absolutely impressed with that. So yeah, I will try and get some information so that you can know if you were to be here and there was a tropical storm or a hurricane, what is the policies, what happens. But I have to say, I've been so impressed so far. Like, even though it's unexpected and you don't hope for this to happen during your trip, it hasn't really negatively impacted my trip. When I went to Universal on Tuesday, I got so much done. The park was definitely quieter because I think people had been going home early or postponing trips. And because of that, I got loads done. So even though I've had 2 days not in the park, it's not too bad. I've still managed to do loads, and if I get an extra day, then that's perfect and it's a bonus. So something I've been super impressed with is that even though I have an overseas phone number and I'm coming from the UK, I have been getting these updates from the National Weather Service. I think that's what it's called. And it was very dramatic when I was in the restaurant and everyone's phone was going off, and I was like, oh my god. But I've had quite a few of them the past few days letting you know what's going on. There's been a lot of flash flooding warnings for this area and telling you when that's in place for and that you shouldn't go out. So that has been amazing that anyone in the area that has a phone, it will come through. Doesn't matter if you've got a foreign number, and I think that's really great because it just keeps you up to date. The resort, like I say, is faring quite well. I am seeing a lot of reports and there is a lot of flooding in Orlando itself, so that has been an issue. Also, the Jurassic Park riverboat ride, there is a huge hole in the back. So either Ian's brought some of that building down or a dinosaur has escaped, one or the other. But I feel it is the storm, so there are damages like that. So of course, I would predict tomorrow, which is Friday, that the theme parks will not be open because they will be needing to repair any damages and just check everything is safe. So it's quite interesting to see what will be happening, but it seems like in Orlando there is quite a lot of problems with flooding. And then of course on the coastline there have been massive issues with whole homes being swept away. So I feel very, very lucky to have been here, and apart from kind of it being windy and rainy and being indoors, you are absolutely safe. Everything's been so secure, really well run, so you're very, very, very thankful. This morning I also got a further email from Attraction Tickets just to let me know that my refund is being processed. So in 5 to 7 days you should have that refund, which I think is fantastic. It's Thursday morning, the event was meant to happen last night and they've already processed that. I think it's absolutely incredible, so really, really amazing service from them. I also know that I bought tickets from them for my 2020 visit and 2021 visit, and of course they got cancelled because of the pandemic. And again, they were so quick at responding, they would give you refunds, they were really fantastic. So I really rate Attraction Tickets. I've bought from them loads of times, they're great to get in contact with, great prices, so really impressed with their customer service. So I've been watching some of the local news reports, and they've just reported live from Kirkman, which is a road right near Universal, and the entire road and car park surrounding it is flooded. It must be about 4 foot deep. So it can be a bit deceiving that in the resort you could see like a little bit of debris from trees, and that's about it. The car parks here are all fine. So yeah, it can be very deceptive because you're like, oh, actually, it looks like we've come through this pretty well. And then you see the rest of Orlando and it's like, wow, there's actually a lot of flooding around the local area. And of course, that's very worrisome for people's cars. They might be flooded out. Maybe they can't drive them anymore. Of course, you can't get around at the moment. So very, very lucky to be staying at a resort. I can totally understand how when people evacuate, they come to these sorts of resorts because they are hurricane proof, they have the backup generators, they allow pets, they do special rates, so it is great that they have those options at these types of resorts. But yeah, it's definitely interesting as the day goes on to see kind of the havoc that Ian has given to Orlando and obviously the rest of Florida. This morning I've also had an email and text from Virgin, and I think, oh gosh, like, is this the flight being cancelled? What's happening? And it was just a regular message that they would send out just to let you know that there's no entry restrictions due to COVID back to the UK. So I was like, well, that's good news. Like, it's that thing of no news is good news sort of thing. So I don't know what happens about the people who were meant to have already flown home and have been delayed. I don't know if they'll put on extra planes to try and get them home. But yeah, I can imagine that must be a nightmare. The stress of thinking, when are we going to get home? Will the insurance sort all of this out? And all of those extra worries. So far, touch wood, I've been lucky. Everything seems to be okay for Saturday. So it's just a case now of relaxing. It's kind of lucky that it's happened towards the end of the trip, so you've kind of got most things done that you wanted to do, and after a hectic couple of weeks doing so much and having the best time and walking loads, you're getting a little time now to relax, and you can't complain really. Although it's not how you expected the trip to go, you're super lucky, you're safe, you're comfortable, the room has everything you need, and yeah, it's all going okay here, which is good news. So I'm just keeping updated on the weather channels and the local news. It is crazy seeing how much flooding there is in Orlando itself, because like I say, at the hotel, apart from some branches, it looks really well maintained. Like, they've done an excellent job of securing the property. But when you see just outside of here, the flooding is extensive. So I'm wondering if maybe that may cause some problems of getting to the airport, stuff like that. But it does seem that because you live in a hurricane zone, they are so well prepared for these things. And I do feel like it's that thing in the UK, if we have bad weather, everything goes to pot. We are not prepared for anything ever. If there's a leaf on the train line, forget about it. Whereas here, they're like, we'll have a full-blown hurricane and we will get straight to work in resolving everything. And it's really, really impressive to see. So before I went to Publix the other day, I went on the internet to have a little look to see which things that they sell are vegan. The great thing is the internet can give you all the information you need, because of course I could see things like milk or honey or eggs, so I would avoid them. But there are lots of additives and stuff that may contain animal products, and if you aren't from a country, you don't necessarily know what those are. So I found a really helpful website that told me what things I could buy. So I'm having my lunch now. I've got a little bagel with some extra crunchy peanut butter. Can't go wrong with that. So I'm very lucky to have been able to go to the supermarket in advance. By the time I turned up to this hotel way before the storm, I already had loads of supplies in, and I had my reusable cutlery with me, so I've been able to make some meals, which is perfect. So I thought I would say some of the things I've learned having been through this that were quite handy. So one of the first things is to charge all your devices up. And if you have a power bank, charge that up. That way, if you do have a power cut, you will already have everything charged, and you will have a power bank available if you do need to recharge phones and things like that. So that was a super handy tip to know. Something a lot of Floridians had recommended to me is to follow Dennis Phillips. He is a weather reporter. He is someone a lot of people look to when it comes to hurricanes and tropical storms, and it's been great. He's been updating really regularly with what's going on, what to expect. So absolutely follow him. It has been perfect. I would also say, if you're out and about, even in your hotel, anywhere you're meeting people that live from here, if you've got any concerns or worries, definitely speak to them about it. They are people that have typically been through these things. They know what to do, what to prepare, and they have been really helpful at giving great tips and advice and kind of putting your mind at ease. Head to the supermarket in the days leading up to the storm. So we started hearing probably on the weekend that this could be coming. So I then, on the Monday when I changed resorts to Cabana Bay, I went over to a Publix to get some supplies. They had already run out of water, but I managed to get other drinks, snacks, non-perishable goods, so that if I was going to have to be staying in my room, I would have things to eat, and that has become so handy. Of course, in your resorts they do sell these things, but they're normally more expensive. So for example, a 500 milliliter bottle of water or soda is $3.50 plus tax here. So if you're buying quite a lot of that, it can add up quickly. So if you go to a supermarket, you can kind of keep those costs down and get a wider variety of things. With some hotels, the restaurants and stuff may stay open, but in case they don't, make sure you get your snacks and your drinks in advance. I have seen some people who've kind of left it until the day of the hurricane, the afternoon, and being like, where should we get stuff? And it's like loads of places are shut now. The hotels may be shutting their restaurants, so it's too late at that point. So definitely prepare for that in advance. I would also say to make sure you follow the Facebook or Twitter accounts of the theme parks and the hotels that you're staying in, because they tend to use them as a way to put information across to you. So that is always so handy, because you can find out their latest policies, when things are going to be open, what's operating, things like that. Something that's always important to get, but particularly in this situation, is really great travel insurance. If for whatever reason you need to extend your trip or your flights get cancelled, something happens, at least you have your insurance to fall back on, and then you should be able to reclaim some of the costs. So do check out their policies when it comes to extreme weather or hurricanes, just to see if you can get that covered. And I would always say get travel insurance, especially if you're visiting the US, because accidents happen. Medical bills over here can be extremely expensive, so you don't want to get caught out. And for the sake of, 60, 70, 80, £100, that peace of mind that if anything were to happen, you would be covered is priceless. I would say follow the advice. If you're told to stay in your room, definitely stay in your room. It may be tempting to go out and experience it or take photos, things like that, but you are indoors for a reason. Firstly, so that you don't get hit by any debris or anything like that, but also you don't want to slip, fall, something happen, and then you need to go to the hospital. The hospitals already are needing to be kept free for people that absolutely need it. And also, because there's a lot of flooding, you might not be able to get there. So staying indoors, relaxing, looking out your window is the best way to experience things. I would also say different hotels have different policies. So for example, I know at Disney, if you are staying in one of the resorts where the building is one big building, such as when I was at Animal Kingdom Lodge, you will be able to have entertainment, dining, go to the shops, stuff like that. If you're staying in buildings where they are all separate, so when I was at All Star Music, it was different blocks of buildings, then you typically have to stay in your room because of the weather. It's too dangerous to go outside. Interestingly, at Cabana Bay, most of the hotel is one building that's all connected, apart from these 2 towers. Now, I happen to be in one of the towers, so at the moment I am just hanging out here. I'm pretty sure that probably if I was in the main building, there's loads of people probably still going to the lobby and doing stuff, so they're out of their room at the moment. But because I'm in the tower, I've decided not to do that. Not to head out just to check. When the weather kind of picks up a bit, then I'll definitely go and have a look. But I would say, depending on the type of hotel you are staying in, will depend on what you will be able to do. So do check with your hotel what they say is okay and what is safe and what isn't. So on Tuesday evening, there was a voicemail on the answering machine of the phone in the room. So I think it's saved. So I thought I'd play it so you can get an idea of the type of updates that you were getting from Cabana Bay Hotel.
Good evening. Your safety and well-being are our highest priority. As the storm approaches the Central Florida area, please be aware all Universal Orlando theme parks and City Walk will be closed Wednesday and Thursday. Halloween Horror Nights is canceled on these 2 nights. For the latest theme park updates, we encourage you to follow Universal Orlando on Twitter. All hotel pools are closed until further notice, and all guests must remain indoors during peak storm conditions. We will share hotel operation updates on our digital dining and activities guide. Please be aware that some hotel services may be temporarily suspended. We appreciate your understanding and cooperation.
Now, I've never been able to actually find out what this dining or what the channel that you were supposed to get the updates on. On the telly, they do have a channel for the resort, but it just kind of promotes what you can do here. There was no updates on that, so I've never actually been able to find that. If it's on the app, if it's on I don't know where it is. So I've never been able to find out what is happening and any updates, but the weather is starting to calm down now, so maybe later today, maybe in the evening, I might head over to the lobby area and just see what is going on over there. So the weather has calmed down significantly, so I'm going to have a little walk over to the lobby, see if anything's going on over there. It's very funny because in this building you're like, everything seems very calm and you don't really see anyone out and about, but I feel like the same thing yesterday, and then I went to the lobby and it was like hustle bustle and it was really, really lively. So I'm wondering if it's the same, because obviously if you're in the other buildings you can go out of your room, go to the lobby, stuff like that, even if it's just to have a change of scenery. So I'm gonna have a little look over there now. So there is a tiny bit of rain at the moment, and as you can see there are things like fallen branches, but really pretty amazing how little damage there is. There are some tree fronds that have come down. But again, it's really impressive how well they've managed to secure everything in the property. So I have come back into the lobby, and again it is super buzzy, and it seems like lots of people are able to come in. So lots of people got the same idea, great. And the canteen is still open. So I might go and get a meal again whilst I'm here. So I was in the queue for a little while for the grill, and then once I got to the section where you could see the menu, today they're actually running limited menus, which totally makes sense. So the only vegan option now is the mindful wrap. So I'm queuing up for that at the deli, and I'm going to give that a go. So I've just grabbed some food, and I'm going to head back to my room now and show you a little bit of what it looks like on the pathways and stuff. As I say, it's really impressive, really, the limited amount of damage. I think it's because the hotel just did such a good job in preparation. So let's go outside and have a little look now on the way back to the room. So the actual doors to get out to the walkway have been closed off, and you can walk through one of the buildings, which is so handy, so you're not having to go outside in the elements. So that's really, really good to know. And sometimes you need a key card to get to certain parts of the resorts, and that seems to be stopped at the moment. So you can just open the doors, which is good news. It makes life a lot simpler. So it's also amazing that there are people cleaning rooms. I think that's because some people have left, and there have been new people checking in today. So that's pretty impressive. So as you can see on the pathway, there are some like low-hanging leaves, and on the path there are some leaves, some palm fronds, but really we fared very, very well. This is the extent of the damage, really. some more palm fronds over here. But Japan, they did an amazing job. So I was super impressed again that the restaurant was operating. Today it has a more limited menu, which absolutely makes sense. And it was still really, really brilliant for all the staff to be there, especially now because you don't know if there has been damage or flooding to your property, and also how they may get home eventually because there is still a lot of flooding everywhere. Luckily the hotel is very well intact. But today I went and got the mindful chicken wrap. This is the only vegan option at the moment, but it looks so good. So I'm going to enjoy this now. You get house-made chips with it. The biggest queue is for the grill because it serves burgers and stuff like that. A lot of the other queues were a lot shorter and very, very quick, but the grill was the one everyone wanted to go to. So it's now about 4 p.m. and there were already actually team members outside starting the clean up, which I'm so impressed with. So as I say, it's mostly debris from trees. It looks like some of the pool has already started to be cleaned up. And yeah, you've been seeing cast members and team members out and about already cleaning up, which I can't believe how quickly they're on top of it. It's so impressive. Now that people are able to go out and they are taking photographs, we have seen that Portofino Bay, which is one of the hotels at Universal, has had a lot of flooding. That has a lake and the lake seems to have overflowed. So there's been a lot of flooding there. Also, part of the Hulk roller coaster is underwater, and obviously you've got that big hole in the side of Jurassic Park Riverboat Journey. Is that what it's called? But yeah, so there is some damage. So I should imagine that Universal will not be open tomorrow because it does seem like there has been a lot of flooding there. Disney World have announced that they are going to be reopening. It's going to be a phased reopening. So not everything will be open. You'll just have to see what will be available. But I'm so impressed that so quickly they can reopen, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of cleanup and stuff that needs to happen. So that's super impressive. So waiting for some updates from Universal, but I think it's been so impressive to see how it's just almost like seamless. Like, okay, we're going to do this, but this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Like, they've got it down to a T. And it is so impressive to see just how they respond, and they respond so quickly. So it's been quite a spectacle to see, and yeah, just everyone's so thankful for everyone working so hard, because it would be totally understandable if they said all the restaurants are shut, everything's shutting, because of course those people want to be at their homes, securing them, making sure themselves and their families and pets and everyone are safe. So it's so incredible that people actually stay, they carry on working, they're trying to help everyone that's staying in this hotel and all of the other hotels around Orlando. So it is so appreciated, because it's such a difficult time, such a stressful time, and the fact that people are still helping others during that is amazing. So it is now Thursday evening, the rain has all stopped. It's still a little bit windy, if you can see it on the trees, but definitely nowhere near as bad as yesterday. The weather forecast for the next couple of days is supposed to be really nice, sunny and warm again, so we'll have to see what happens. So it is now the evening, it's going to get dark soon, so I thought I'd give you one final update. Universal have just announced that tomorrow, on Friday, they are going to begin a phased reopening for resort guests. So it did say on their release that it would be a phased reopening of the destination. I'm assuming that includes the parks. It's kind of a bit vague, but it seems like there might be a possibility to go to the parks tomorrow, but I'll keep an eye on that and see what happens. And yeah, so that's the big update. I had an email from Virgin to say my bid on the way home has been unsuccessful, so I'll just be in the usual economy. I am looking at potentially paying a bit more. I think it's like £35, and the reason I'm thinking of doing that is because there's a lot of seats left over, so you may not be sitting next to anyone if you do that. But I'm now starting to see lots of the seats disappear, because I think a lot of people who have been delayed because of the hurricane will probably moved on to this flight. So I don't want to pay the money if you end up sitting next to people, because then I might as well just be in my seat that I'm already in, where I'm sat next to people. So I think I'll just keep an eye on that and see what happens. I'm really not looking forward to the flight home, honestly, because upper class completely spoiled me. And I'm a bit worried about if it's going to be quite turbulent, things like that. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting. If you are able to go out of the hotel tomorrow, that'll be quite nice. It has been great to be able to relax, but it's gotten to that point now where it's been like 2 days indoors and you're a bit like, oh, like, we're going home soon, but it may be another day indoors before that happens, or I don't know. It's become I'm not bored per se, but it's kind of like, oh, if I'm just sat in the hotel room, I'd rather just be at home. So it'll be interesting if tomorrow we do get to go out. If not, it's totally understandable, and we'll just have another relaxing day here, get ready to leave on Saturday. Like I say, I have got a diner reservation at Disney for breakfast, and then probably go to Disney Springs before heading to the airport. So I think I'm going to actually give myself a little bit extra time to get to the airport, just in case there is any problems with the roads, things like that. I'm sure there'll be a longer queue at check-in because maybe not all the staff are able to get to work because of whatever may have happened to their properties, or maybe they can't get there because of the flooding, and I'm sure there's going to be lots and lots of people trying to get home. So I think I'm going to give myself extra time at the airport just in case. But yeah, that's really it for today. There is not much more to update. So thank you so much for watching. Next week will be my final full day here in Orlando in my next vlog, so that should be very interesting, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we may have been able to get into the parks and have a little see of what is available to go on, how it's all doing. So that should be quite interesting. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone for contacting me, your messages. It has been absolutely amazing, and it's been so nice to be able to like have nice chats whilst you're stuck in the room, and just people checking how you were doing is so nice. So thank you so much. And if you do love vlogs all about Disney World, Disneyland Paris, and also videos about how to plan your ultimate trips, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. But until next time, I hope you have a most magical day. Bye bye.